Hello everyone and welcome to this comprehensive Git and GitHub full course at Simplilearn. Whether you're just starting your coding journey or looking to enhance your version control skills, this course will give you the foundation knowledge and hands-on experience needing to master Git and GitHub, one of the most powerful tools for developers today. In this course, we will walk you through everything from setting your Git on your system to collaborating on real-world projects using GitHub. Now, let me tell you something about Git. Git actually helps you manage your project versions, track changes, collaborate efficiently with other developers. While GitHub takes this further, providing you the platform for hosting and sharing your repositories and collaborating with teams and showcasing your work. By the end of this course, you will be equipped with the knowledge to manage your own projects, contribute to open source software, and work on collaborative coding projects with ease. Now, here's the agenda of our today's session. First, we are going to start with an introduction to Git and GitHub. Then we are going to install Git and set our GitHub. Then we're going to create our first Git repository. Then we will dive deeper into Git commands. Then we are going to understand about branching. Then we're going to discuss about collaborating on GitHub and introduction to some of the GitHub essential things. Then we will discuss a case study about a real-world project, how developers build and collaborate. Then we are going to discuss some of the advanced Git techniques. And finally, we are going to integrate Git and GitHub with Visual Studio Code. Now, before we move on, just a quick info, guys. Simplilearn has got DevOps Engineers Master Program. You can become DevOps expert with hands-on projects and IBM AWS Azure's official content. You can easily access that. You can master all the stages of the DevOps life cycle. You can access blended learning via live online classes and with free interactive labs. Also, you'll get access to official learning content from IBM and earn IBM certificates. So guys, hurry up now and join the course. The course link is mentioned in the description box. Now here's a short quiz to test your knowledge. What does the command git status do in Git? And your options are, it commits the changes made to the files, it shows the current state of the repository, including staged, unstaged, or untracked files, or it pushes changes to the remote repository, or it merges branches. Please mention your answers in the comment section below. And also guys, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell icon so that you don't miss out any update from our end. Let's get started. So guys, let us first understand about Git. Git is a version control system. In simple terms, it keeps track of every change you make in your code or file. It basically lets you save versions or go back in time and compare changes and work safely without breaking anything. GitHub is actually a cloud platform that hosts the Git repositories. Think it of as a shared online space where developers store their Git managed projects, collaborate with others, review code, and manage issues. In shorter terms, if I have to say, Git is a tool which tracks the changes. And if you go to the GitHub, so just go to the official website of GitHub. So this is respectively the place where you host all of your projects or repositories. And from here, you can easily work with a team, collaborate, contribute to projects, track changes, and do a lot of very amazing things. So guys, this is the official website of GitHub. You can directly access all over here. Go to github.com and there you are going to find this. Now, there are a couple of more important things to discuss about this. Now, you'll be wondering why version control actually matters. Without version control, software development becomes chaos. And here's what version control system actually solves. Then you can actually get to know about it. For example, like there is no fear of breaking code. You can experiment freely. If something goes wrong, you roll back to the previous version. You can track who changed what and why every change has an author, timestamp, and message, which is perfect for audits and debugging. Then also guys, multiple people can work on the project, which is basically the same project without overwriting each other's work. And this is the most amazing part of it. You have a kind of safe collaboration. You review changes before merging them into the main code base. So ultimately, if I have to say, you look into the history, then there's a learning, and then you get the recovery. You can understand how a project evolves and how you can restore older versions anytime. Now, in modern teams, if there are no Git, then there is no serious development happening. Let me give you one very simple analogy. Let's say you're writing a book with a team. Now, what is Git is doing in this scenario? So Git is like tracking the changes, version history. Every edit is recorded. You can undo the changes, you can compare the drafts. So GitHub is like Google Drive here for the book that everyone can access the same projects. Editors can review chapters and changes are approved before publishing. So basically, Git works locally on your laptop and GitHub works online with the whole team. Let me give you one real world scenario. Let's say there is one company which is building an online shopping website. And in that, these are the respective team members, such that there are front end developers, there are back end developers, there are QA engineers, there are tech lead. Now, without Git and GitHub, what is going to happen? Let's say the front end team sends a zip file on the WhatsApp, and back end developers override the files accidentally. No idea which version is live, bugs appear, no rollback possible. What is the result of this? Delays, confusion, and blame games. Now, then you have Git and GitHub incorporated in your project. Each developer clones the project every time he gets on the same code base. They create separate branches like front end works on the UI, back end works on the APIs. No one disturbs the main code, changes are committed in Git, and each changes is saved with a message. For example, added checkout API, or code is published to GitHub, or code is backed up online. Teams can see the progress, pull request can be created, tech lead can review the code, and if there are any bugs or improvements suggested, they are also feasible. And the most important part is approved code can be merged. So only clean tested code goes live. And if production breaks, rollback to a stable version is there in seconds. Now, what is the output you are getting? A faster delivery, clean collaboration, and zero panic. So, in a nutshell, if I have to say, Git helps you manage changes safely, and GitHub helps team work together very, very smoothly. And together, they power almost all the modern software development process. Now, after knowing all of this, why don't we install the GitHub? Now, after we have discussed all of this, then why don't we install Git? Now, for installing Git, what you need to do, guys, you need to go to the official website of Git. So let's just go all over here and let's say Git download. So you can see this icon is your original reference. This is the official website for Git. Just go all over here and choose your operating system. Let's say if you are using Mac OS, so you can just click all over here. You can go to your terminal and make sure that you have Homebrew installed in your system. Then you type install Git, and you can also install Mac ports if you don't have them. So this is the respective command, sudo port install Git. Then there is an Xcode command line tool. So Apple is shipping a binary package with Git. So you can also install all over here, Xcode select install. And let's say if you want to also install Git GUI, you can also do this. So just Homebrew install Git UI. And you will be very much perfect to get ready with the Git and start doing the hands-on thing. Now, let's say you are on Linux platform and let's say you are using Debian or Ubuntu distribution. Now, first of all, what you need to do is you need to type this respective command. But before that, you need to type sudo apt upgrade or update. And after doing all the updates and the upgrades, then you move forward to this step. Now, all over here, just type apt-get install git, and then you add apt repository. So apt update, apt install git. And let's say if you are using Fedora, you have to use yum as your package manager, yum install git. And this is valid only for Fedora 21 distribution. Now, let's say if you have Fedora 22 or later, you can type dnf install git. If you have a Gentoo distribution, you can type emerge ask-verbose dev vcs-git. If you have Arch Linux, you can type pacman as git. If you have OpenSUSE, you can type zipper install git. So you can see for different based distribution, like for example, Mageia, NextOS, FreeBSD, Solaris, Solaris 11, OpenBSD, Alpine. So you have these respective code which you have to type in your terminal. And please look for your respective open source things, respective favorite operating system. So guys, you can install all over here from this given respective documentation. You can install Git on your favorite operating system based on Linux. Now let us talk a bit about the Windows. So if I just talk about Windows, so let's say you have the Windows 64 setup. So if you want to have a standalone installer, you can do all over here. If you want a portable version, you can do for Windows 64 portable. Or if you want to install through PowerShell, make sure that you have the widget tool all over here. Just type the same thing. Let me show you. Open your PowerShell in the administrator mode, and all over here, you just type this respective command. So it is going to install your Git. Now I'm going to go with the most easiest one, that is Git Windows X setup. So just click all over here, and we are going to wait for the installation to proceed. Now guys, after you have installed that, all you just need to do is right click all over there, and it is going to do your respective task. So it's a very simple installation process, guys. If you are having any doubt about this, then please post it in our comments and our team of experts will get back to you. Now, after you have installed the Git, all you need to do is type git --version to check the version number of the Git. So you can see I am using 2.45.1. Now, this is one way, and I will also show you that command which we were actually trying to do. So let's say, for example, if you go all over here, this is the respective command. Let's try to paste it in our PowerShell. So this, and you can see your installation will proceed. Now I've already installed on my system, so I would not do this. And let's close this, guys. Okay. Now let's move to the next part. But before that, I would suggest you to read this ebook if you get a time. It's a very wonderful, book written about Git, and different case scenarios are there, and you can see the agenda or the entire, the catalog of the tutorials are present on the first go. So you can read this if you are very much interested. So there are two formats available, PDF and EPUB. You can choose based on whatever you like. And also guys, there is an amazing thing that is called as cheat sheets. Now if you are someone who forgets the command line commands, then you can revisit all over here. So you can see if you are starting a new repo, the command is git init, and similarly it has all these respective commands. We will cover this in pretty much amount of time, but now let us proceed to the next part. Now guys, I will show you how to sign up on GitHub and create your account. So first of all, go to official website of GitHub all over here and just click on this. And then you can see there are two options, sign in or sign up. Now let's say if you are someone who haven't made his account till now, so what you could do is you could go to sign up and click all over here. And there are two ways in which you could do it. Let's say first using any OAuth provider like GitHub or Apple. So guys, you can do the given thing with the OAuth providers like Google or Apple. I would prefer Google all over here, and it is going to redirect to my respective account. You can see after that you will be directed to your respective account. Since I've already made this, so guys, I have already made this account, and that's why from sign up it got redirected to sign in. So that is a very simple process for registration. You can try this. Then after that, let's say if you are trying to make a new repository. Now repository is something which is going to hold your respective project. If you create your own repository, you can start tracking this folder from now on. Now you can see there is a new button all over here with a computer-like icon. So just on this and it's going to create your new repository. Now let's say I'm creating any full stack app. So I could give the name full stack app. Okay. Now this is my repository name. Now, after doing this, what you need to do is you need to give the description. So, what could be the description all over here? Let's say this is the full stack project using, let's say, MongoDB, Angular, and Spring. So, guys, the next part that comes up all over here is about configuration. Now, there are a couple of things added all over here. Let's have a look on those things. First of all, let's say it asks you about choose the visibility. So you can see in this respective thing who can commit to this repository. Then you can also add a readme thing all over here. So let's say I want to on my readme, you can just click it on. Now there are two options if you are working in any organization and this is kind of your personal project with respect to any organization. Definitely you'll be making it private, but let's say if you have any open source project, you can make it as public. Now, those are the two important things. You can also add a license all over here. So let's say MIT license, Apache license, BSD 2, BSD 3. So there are a couple of license on the softwares. You can add those licenses also. But if you have the respective license authorization, you can use it. Now, after doing this, just click on create the repository. So guys, this is going to create my respective repository. And you can see I haven't added anything in the README thing, but you can start adding in your README blog. So you can see this is a full stack app. This is something like this. Now you can change this respective README also all over here. Just open this thing in your, let's say, on your IDE, and you can add your respective context in your readmd file. Basically, this file is all about telling more about what exactly you are doing, what is your workflow, what is the entire thing, what your project revolves around, such that if anyone is seeing your project or repository, he can get a brief idea what exactly you are trying to do. Now, our repository is initialized. Now let us move to the next part. So let's go to the e-commerce app. Okay. Now let's see. There's an e-commerce app and it has front-end and back-end folders. So we'll use this folder for our demonstration. All you need to do is open it with terminal. And when you have opened this respective project in your terminal, you need to initialize the Git repository. Now, what is this initialization of Git repository? Basically, you are telling to the Git that start tracking this folder from now on. So when you run Git init, so Git is going to create a hidden .git folder. And this folder is a brain of Git, which is going to store all your version history. So you can see it's saying initializing the existing Git repository. You might have uploaded it somewhere in the Git, so that's why it's saying this. Now, let's talk a bit about commits, guys. And there are a couple of important things that we can look for. Now, guys, when I talk about version history, it includes a couple of things. Like, for example, you have commits all over here. You have branches, you have metadata. These are the most important part which is actually being tracked by Git. Now, nothing is tracked automatically. Basically, Git is in opt-in mode or not autosave mode on. Now, I'll tell you one real world example. For example, let's say you're starting a new Excel file for monthly expenses. Now, before saving, it's just data. After clicking save, what is happening? Excel start tracking the changes. That is what basically our init is. It is the first save button. And until you do this, Git does not exist for the project. Now, let us start and have a little bit discussion about tracking files and checking status. So we will write it all over here, tracking files and checking status. Now, when we discuss this, the first question that comes to my mind is what actually tracking is. If I am a beginner, I'm trying to learn. Now, based on my experience, what I can tell you is Git does not track all the files automatically, and files move through states. For example, let's say the first stage is untracked stage, where Git sees the file but ignores it. Then it comes the tracked stage, where Git knows the file and watches for the changes. Then you have something called modified, where file changes are happening after the last save. And then you have something called staged, when it's ready to be committed. So these are the respective stage, guys. So first stage, what you can do is you can mention something like untracked. Then after this, it comes to the tracking stage. Now, after this stage, what is happening is that you are trying to create a important workflow all over here where you call it as modified, which basically tells that file change has happened after the last save. And then finally, you go to the staged, where you are ready for the code. Now, these are the respective things. And if I tell you about one more command right now, which is kind of very, very much important. So that command is git status. Now, what does this git status? Basically, it answers the following question. For example, let's say it says what's changed, what is staged. Then it also answers what's not tracked. So these are the respective answers which are given by our command git status. Now let me tell you one real world example. Imagine your manager says put the final documents in the approved folder. Basically, files on your desktops are something which you can relate it with untracked stage. Now, files which are in the approved folder, that we call it as staged. And let's say if it is approved and archived, it's going to the committed stage. Now, git status is like checking which files are still on my disk and which are sent for approval. So that's what's important about the given command. Now, let us try to make our first git commit. And also before doing that, let us first understand what actually a commit means. So commit is something which is just not only saving code. A commit is a snapshot of your project, and it has a message explaining why the change has happened. For example, it could be permanently recorded in the history. And good commits are the ones which are kind of small. They don't have very big messages along with them. And let's make some good pointers about good commits, because that's also very much important. So you can see that kind of small, then they should be meaningful also. Otherwise, it becomes kind of very much chaotic to understand that. Then it is kind of easy to understand later. Now, let me also show you how your actually happens. Let's say, for example, I did something called git commit, and you get this message all over here. Let's say, for example, like added login from validation. Okay. So this is the thing which you're going to see when you do the commit. But this is on a different example. Based on your respective thing, what you are doing, the output would be something else. So that's the given thing. Now, let us take one different example to understand this as a given thing, what's happening all over here. Now, let's say you have a family photo album and you don't need to add every single photo. You select the best ones and you label them, let's say as vacation 2025. And then what you are exactly trying to do is a commit. So a commit is curating, like you're labeling a moment in time. Now, what could be a bad habit in this given process is like dumping everything in one commit, which is actually not. So that's what I was trying to tell you. A good habit would be telling a clear story, understanding the workflow. Now, that's the very much important thing. Now, after this, guys, what we need to understand is the Git workflow, which is the very, very important thing in our respective context. So guys, when we talk about the Git workflow, we need to understand that Git works in three main areas. The first one that we have, that is called as working directory. Working directory is the place where you basically edit the files. Next step, what you're going to get is the staging area. So that's the respective thing. And it is where you prepare the changes. Next up we have is repository. Now, what is repository, guys? So repository is where commits live forever. So basically, the flow, if we talk about, is the first stage would be edit. Then you go to stage, and then you do the respective commit. Now, where you are editing your files, that's a working directory, and where you are staging is your staging phase, and finally, you save the respective snapshot by doing the commit. Now, let's talk a bit more in depth about it. Now, in the assembly floor, all the engineers are assembling the parts. So that is like your working directory. Let's say if we talk about the quality check, like the selected phones which are tested, that is called into a staging uh, scenario. And let's consider about warehouse where approved phones are stored. So that is called as repository. So the given logic is you don't ship unfinished phones. So that's why Git doesn't commit the unfinished work. And this is very powerful concept or which is there in the Git. And because of this workflow, you can stage only a part of a file. You can undo the mistake safely. You always know what's going live. And also, guys, teams can also trust your changes. Now, this is one of the most important reasons that why Git scales from a solo developer to teams who are working at Google, Amazon, or Netflix. Now, let us also discuss in a very software related practice. Let's consider there is an e-commerce app, okay, and how Git workflow will be happening in that project. So let's say today a team has been assigned a new project like building an online shopping app. And let's say you are working at very initial stages of the startup company like Flipkart, and you have to build these features such as product listing, cart, checkout, payment, order tracking. Now, how the teams are going to use Git in this scenario? The first step would be the same, which I told you, that first of all, you need to initialize the repository. Then the tech lead is going to create a project folder named ecommerce.app, and there you're going to initialize your Git. Now, this could be considered like registering a new startup project in the company system. Now, the project now has ownership, history can be tracked, you can enforce the rules, and from this moment on, every change is accountable. Now, this is pretty much a very powerful feature. Now, let's say you are working on the features. So each developer in your team is going to work on a specific feature. For example, there is a developer A who's working on product listing, and there is developer B who's working on cart, developer C on payment. So at this stage, the code is written, features may be incomplete, and bugs may exist. And this is the place where you call it as your working directory. Now, you can also think a feature under development. Let's say, for example, of the e-commerce app only, let's say the UI is half done. And in this case, the API response you have not got from the backend. And it is not ready for QA also. So you would not deploy this. So that is the respective thing. Let's say once the product listing works correctly, you add product.js and product.css. So this is where comes the staging area. So this is like saying this feature is ready for the internal review, but not in the final release. So only selected files are prepared and experimental files stay out. So there is a clean separation of work which is going on at this stage. And you're also doing the staging, which is helping you to avoid pushing broken or any half features based code. Now, let's say you create a commit, so git commit m, and you add product listings with price and image support. So here a commit is representing a working feature with a clear purpose, which can be deployed or back. And this commit means that at this point of the e-commerce development, the product listing works correctly and it is ready to go live. So let's say if tomorrow any outbreaks, this version is safe to return to. Now, let's say you have got the brief idea regarding staging area, working directory, and your commits or repository. So we can call it as commits. Okay. So this was all about Git workflow. Now, let us also discuss a bit about feature branching. Now, guys, before starting Git branching, I would like to discuss this. Let's say there is dev A. So for example, he's working on, let's say, product listing. So we'll be extending the same concept all over here. And let's say there is dev B who is working on the cart. Then there is dev C, for example, who is working on the payment. So for example, let's say all over here during the branching and the respective thing. Now guys, let's say after you have made a given commit, now it's time to do the feature branching or the parallel development. So if I just talk about what is feature branching, it is like multiple developers working parallelly on the respective project. So it's like parallel working, or we can say parallel development. Okay. Now, when we move all from here, let's say instead of everyone working all on the same project, so what we can do is we can create the branches of the project. For example, like we can create branches like feature hyphen checkout. We can create branches like feature like cart. We can create one more branch, let's say feature hyphen, let's say payment. Now, in the real software terms, if I have to say, so the cart team does not block the payment team, and also checkout bugs don't affect the home page. So features move independently, and this is how. So guys, in this way, we can say that the respective teams can work on each of their respective features independently, and features move independently. And this is how a large e-commerce platforms scale for development. Now, let's say the step 6 would be pushing the code. So let's say if we talk about in the next step when you're trying to push the code, okay? So what is happening all over here at this respective step? So in this respective step, let's say once the respective feature is complete, you type this respective command all over here. So let's say you are trying to push this respective feature. So all you need to type in the terminal is git push and let's say feature hyphen cart. So which is going to make your code visible on the GitHub on the repository which you have initialized. And in other terms, your code is now backed up. Other team members can review the changes. The continuous integration tools can run tests on your code. Quality engineers can validate the feature. Okay. So guys, with this, you can get a brief idea that QA engineers can also validate the feature. So you will not get any excuses like work on my machine and all that. And finally, after that, you are going to see a pull request review, or we call it as PRs. Okay. A pull request is created basically. So we call it as PR, means somebody is trying to pull your code and someone is trying to merge also the feature card into the main. And for example, let's say the tech lead sees your logic for feature card. Okay. And now he's trying to merge that feature card into the main project. So let's say when in the given company also, this is just not one of the process. Let's say after the tech has done the reviewing, QA can check the edge cases, security team can review the payment logic and all those things, and once it is approved, the code is ready to be merged. Now this is preventing actually bugs and which can be reached to the production. So this is how the pull request happens. So it could be made by the respective team lead who is handling the project. Now in the step 8, you are ready to merge and release. So what is happening all over here? So in this case, the feature is merged into the main app and it is deployed. Customers see the new feature, okay? And the e-commerce users can add products to the cart. Orders will start it happening. The business will start in the given process. And let's say if there is any problem with the version of the app which you're seeing, so development team can roll back to the previous commits in second. So this is how the exact Git workflow looks like, guys. If we talk about in terms of real world example, then let's say you have the respected workflow all over here. So let's say you develop a feature. In this feature, let's say you are trying to stage the changes. Then what is happening? You do the commit, then you push the respective code to GitHub. Okay, you pull the request, then you go for the review. Finally, you merge the respective feature, and then you deploy your app. So this is the entire Git workflow, guys. What is happening at respective process of the app development, which we discussed with the e-commerce app. And you can see this is the first step, staging is the second, third is commit, fourth you push it to GitHub, fifth is your PR, then it goes for review, then you do the merge, and finally you deploy it. So I hope so, guys, you would have got a brief idea regarding the Git workflow. Now let us move to the next part. So guys, in the next command, we are going to look into some of the important Git commands. For that, we will refer to the official documentation, and once we move on to the hands-on, where I'm going to push one project to the GitHub and show you what are these respective things, so you can do the hands-on thing all over there. But first, let's take a revisit to all those important commands. So just go to your official website all over here. Now, let's say if you want to initialize a repository, you can start with git init. And let's say if you want to clone any repo, for example, I go to Git, and let's say I want to take any e-commerce app, and this is an Android e-commerce app. Let's say I just go to the shopping cart e-commerce app, and this is a respective repo what they have. Now I have to only take the URL what's all present all over here. So I'll do one thing. Let's open this in the respective project. So in the respective project, if I have to open it, I'll just create one more folder. Inside the demo, I'll just go to my terminal. So if you're not seeing the terminal, go to view, and at the last, you're going to get the terminal. Now I want that project to be present all over here in this folder. So I will do that respective command. So let us go to the official documentation, and let us copy this command, git clone all over here. After this, you need to give the URL. Now for giving the URL, what you need to do, guys, is you need to go to the official GitHub repo. And let's say if this is a repo that I want to copy, you can go all over here. I'm going to just copy this URL and go to my respective VS Code and just click enter. And you can see it started cloning the respective thing. It started enumerating all the objects. It started counting the objects. It started compressing the objects. All this process has started to happen internally. Pretty interesting. Okay. Now, if you could see all over here, inside this, you have the respective projects all over here. Now, this is a very easier way to clone anything in your project. This is one of the commands. Now, let's say if you're trying to add any file. So in that purpose, what you type is git and give your respective file name. Now, if you want to add all the files, then you press git add dot. So it is going to add all the untracked file and unstaged changes. So this is the respective command for the same. You can also choose which part of the file to put it up in the staging area also. So for that, the command is git add and -p. And let's say if you want to move any file, what you can do all over here, guys, you can type git and first write the old file name, and then you write the new file name all over here. Let's say if you want to delete any file, so for that, what you could do is type git rm and then give the respective file name. Let's say if you want to one file, what you can do is you can type git reset. We were discussing a couple of minutes back about git status, where I showed you what are the respective status of the git when you type this command. So for that purpose, you can type git status all over here. And if you want to delete or forget about a file without deleting it, so git rm -- cached, and then you give the file name. If you want to do everything, then you need to type git reset. Now let us go to the commit section, guys. If you want to make commits, you can just type commit. If you want to commit all the unstaged changes which are not put into the staging area, then you can type commit am and then you can give the message name. Let's say if you want to make a commit, what you can do is very basic command mostly used, commit -m, and then you give the respective message name. So all the respective commands about making the commits. Now, I will also show you some of the command. Let's say if you want to move between the branches. So in that project of the e-commerce, I showed you there can be multiple branches. Let's say for product listing, you could have the payment, checkout. These are the respective feature branches of this entire e-commerce project. Now, in that scenario, if you want to switch between branches, you can just type switch or you can type checkout and give your respective branch name. Let's say if you want to create any branches, switch -c and you give a name, or checkout -b, give a name. So it actually kind of depends all over here what you are basically using. So let's say if you are using anything like, let's say it has checkout, so you have to use -b. If you're using switch for the same purpose, you have to use -c. Now let's say if you want to list the branches by most recently which has been committed, you can type git branch -sort and then you can commit committer's date. If you want to force and delete a branch, then you can just give git branch -d and then name. If you want to differentiate all the staged and the unstaged changes, so git diff head. And let's say if you want to do just the stage changes all over here, so git diff -- stage. And if you want to do the unstaged changes, git diff all over here. Now, if you want to show a difference between a commit and its parent, what you can do is you can just type git show and then you give the respective commit name. Now, let's say if you want to put call the commits in the single file, then you can do git diff commit and respective file name. If you want to differentiate or two commits, what you can do is git diff commit 1, commit 2. And if you want to show a summary of a diff, you can just type git commit -stat or git show commit -stat. So this is also pretty much important thing which is said in the official documentation. So let's say every time we say commit, you can use a branch, you can use a tag, you can use a commit ID, you can use a remote branch, you can use a current commit or 3 commits ago. Okay. So for this main, we use 0.1 ID or origin main, you can add the head or let's say anything like head -3. So these are some of the ways which you could do the respective commit. Now let us discuss a bit about discarding your changes. Let's say you want to delete any unstaged file. And for that, when you want to delete that file, what you could do is, now guys, let us talk about editing the history. So let's say if you want to undo the recent commit which you have done, what you could do is you could type this respective command git reset head and then an arrow sign on the top. If you want to undo any failed rebase, okay, we are going to discuss about this, so we can leave it right now. And this is also a bit about rebasing, which is coming in the part and concept of rebasing. So we are going to look at bit later. Then we have another very important command, that is git log. There are a couple of other things that if you could see, git log main, git log -graph main, git log one line. Now, these are all the commands which are going to show you the branch history. So git log shows me the version and git log shows what your commit timeline has. For example, like your commit IDs, author, date, and commit messages. So it is useful when you want to answer like when did this bug get introduced, or who changed this feature last, or which commit added this API. And common ways with how people actually use git log is something like this. So let's say for example, if you're trying to do git log and let's say -- one line. So this is basically for the compact history. Okay. So if you are someone who wants just a very compact history of the changes, what's been done, you look on to the git log history. Now, let's say if you want a kind of decorated way or a visual branch map, then what you could do all over here, you could type git log and -graph. What you could type is one line. And then we could give one more command, decorate. So this is going to give you basically a visual map. Let us say one scenario that we have. Let's say you're working on the same e-commerce app, and let's say the payment broke after yesterday's release, and your e-commerce app payment started failing, and that caused a very big chaos in the technical team. Now, as a developer, you are going to run git log hyphen one line and try to check like what exactly is happening. Let's say you have added a coupon validation before the payment. Now you know which change to inspect next if that's causing the problem. So now with the git log, you can identify the log history, what's happened, and then you can start inspecting the respective change and what happened after that. And you can follow this entire list of changes, and then you can do the troubleshooting. Now let us explore some other commands. So guys, you can see one of the more important command is, let's say if you want to restore any old file. So what you could do is you could type all over here git checkout and then type the commit and the file name. Or you could type the command git restore and then you could add the respective file name. And you could also add the source commit. Next up, what you could do also, you could add a remote. So let's say git remote add, and then you could give the name and the URL. So basically, when you are trying to push your code to the GitHub, basically you do this step. Okay, so you're going to see the importance of this step, and what exactly it's doing is basically setting a remote connection with the repository and your local server. Now let's try to understand what happens in pushing your changes. Let's say if you want to push the changes to the main branch, then you type git push origin main, and this is one of the most important commands which you use while pushing up your code to the main project. And let's say if you want to push a branch that you have never pushed before, so what you do is you type git push -u origin and the respective name. Let's say if you want to push the tags, so you type git push -- respective tags. You can also push the current branch to its remote tracking branch. So for that, you could just type git push. And if you want to do the force pushing, you can type git push -- force with lease. Now guys, you can also pull the respective changes. You can fetch the changes, but these changes are none of your local branch changes. Okay. So for that, you need to type git fetch origin main. Let's say if you want to fetch changes and merge them into your current branch, which is also a very much important step. So you can type git pull or git pull. And let's say if you want to fetch changes and then rebase your current branch, you can type git pull and do the -- rebase. So that's kind of very much important step. Also, if you could see all over here, you can also configure your Git. So how do you configure your Git? Let's say if you want to log in with your respective name and email. So you can type something like this, git config, user.name, and then you give your username. Or if you are trying to set an alias to your respective ID, which you are operating through Git. So you can just give it git config alias.st status. So you can give alias, whatever alias you want to add after this. Now you could also set an option globally. For that, you could type git config -- global. If you want to see all the possible config options, you can do man git config. And these are the respective things. So -git config is a local git config file, and git ignore is all the list of files that you are meant to ignore. And this is a global config git file. So just see the difference between them, and here you could see you have this respective thing all over here. So this cheat sheet is very much important. I would suggest you to have a look at it whenever you're going for an interview or any of those things. Now, let me also tell you some of the other important Git commands which are not present. So let's say one command that you could see all over here is git diff. Okay, so what does git diff do is it tells you what exactly has changed. So that's kind of very much important. And git diff is going to show you line by line changes like a code comparison. So it helps you see what changed before you do the staged commit, which is kind of very much important. Now git diff changes in the working directory which are not staged, and git diff staged means what's staged and ready to commit. So you would have seen the earlier command that we were discussing, git diff, commit, and let's say there was one more commit. So commit 1 and commit 2. So I'll just call it as commit 1. And you compare now what basically you're trying to do, you are comparing the 2 points in the history. Okay. So that is kind of pretty much important. Now let us discuss a scenario. Let's say if you are asking why is the card total coming wrong. So let's say you edited card total.js file and before committing it, you run git diff. And you notice that you changed the tags from let's say 0.18 to 18. So that single difference views that you saved from shipping is causing a huge price bug. Now, this is very much important and this is actually very helpful in that given command. Now guys, let us move to the next part and discuss a bit about the branching strategy. So Git branching is very much important because whenever you are having a very big project, what you need to do is you need to feature it out. You need to create branches such that you can assign those branches to the respective teams who can work on particular features. And in this way, you achieve more productivity in the development. Now, first thing, let us understand what a branch is. So let's imagine that you are working on the same e-commerce website and you need to add a cart feature. Now you don't want to mess up with the main project. So what do? You just create a branch out of it from here. And how you're going to do it, guys? So let's say, for example, if you need to create any branch, you need to type this command, which is basically checkout B, and then let's say the given feature branch is cart. Okay. Now this is going to create a cart feature branch. This is very important command, which is going to switch you to the branch cart where you can do all your development. Now this is ensuring that all the changes are isolated from the main branch and it keeps the production code safe. Now let us say all over here you have completed the cart feature on your feature cart branch and now you are ready to merge it into the main branch. So what will be the respective steps? First of all, you need to create and switch it to a new branch. So for that, what you need to do is you need to type the same command, git checkout -b feature -cart. Now, after that, what you need to do is you need to check which branch you are on. Okay. So if you are trying to check that, guys, let's say checking on which branch you are. So for the same purpose, what you could do is you could type git branch and this is going to show your current branch. Now let's say you want to merge your feature branch into the main branch. So how would you do it? So for the same purpose, you can just type this command git merge and then write your respective feature. Let's say it was same feature that was card. So just type card. Now git merge feature card, what this respective command is doing for us. Basically what's happening is it's bringing all the changes from this respective branch, which is a card branch, into the main branch. And if everything is fine, Git will perform a fast forward merge if no new commits were made. Then there are a couple of strategies what we can discuss about branching. So we have, this is fast forward versus three-way merges. Okay. Let me explain you this theory. So we have this one, which we call it as fast forward, and we have another theory of three-way merges. Now, let us understand the scenario. Both main and feature branch had changes. Now, when you try to merge, Git cannot perform a fast forward merge because both branches have diverged right now. And the command for merging is git merge feature -cart. So when you try to do this respective thing, let's say if no changes were made to the made since the branching off, so Git does a fast forward merge, which means that it is going to simply move the main pointer forward. Now, let us consider another scenario also. Let's say if both of the branches have a new commit. So what Git is going to do is Git is going to follow a three-way merge strategy. This means that it is going to compare 3 points: the main, the branch, and the feature. So in the three-way, if I have to write, you can just take these things into consideration. It is going to compare, first of all, the main branch, then it is going to compare the feature branch, and who was their common ancestor. So this is the main strategy of the three-way merge. You need to also see that these commits come from where it is they are repeat. And basically you can think of a common ancestor in such a way like the commit repeat. And basically you can think about the common ancestor as a commit. They both have committed from the branch where they are coming from. So this is kind of very much important in that context. Now there is a very much important concept, conflicts, which actually happen, and let us discuss about that also. Now let's take one scenario. So the e-commerce project that we were actually building, okay, so you can see we have the card, okay, all over here, and we have the respective let's say payment all over here, and these are the respective files. Now let us say that you have merged the feature branch, but let's say there is some conflict which is there in the card.js file. Okay, now because both main and feature branch have changed the same lines. Okay, so the conflict all over here is, you have to remember that the both main and feature branch change the same line. Now this is going to cause a very major conflict, because Git will get confused which of the file or which of the line of the code to consider, because there are changes in both feature and main branches at the same point of time. So there are certain steps which Git actually tells you how to resolve the merge conflict. Let's say after running git merge feature card, you will see a message like conflict is happening. Okay, and what you could do is, first of all, try to understand which line is causing the this given thing. Then you can open the conflicted file. Okay, and you will see there will be something marked as all over here. Let's say, for example, head, and let's say the respective code will be also present, and it is going to tell you the given feature. So let's say the feature all over here is, let's say, feature card. So this kind of conflict is going to be appearing on that file. Now in the next step you need to resolve the respective conflict, and that could be happening with the manual intervention. So manually you need to edit the file to combine both the changes and remove the conflict markers. So after that you can stage up the resolve file, and when you type this command git add, and you can just give the file name, let's say car.js, so it is going to add that respective file, and finally you could complete the merge process. So how you can do is, you can just type git merge, and then you can -- continue. So again guys, merge conflict is a scenario where both main and feature branch change the same lines of code. Okay, so that could be caused by, well, let's say multiple developers working on the same project, and this happens most of the time, and you can easily intervene in and manually resolve it. So guys, basically what I'm trying to tell you is that Git can't merge changes in the same line by itself. It needs your input to decide how to combine both the version. So after resolving the conflict, you can stage those changes and you can continue the merge. And if you want to do any undo process, you could have these respective options of checkout, reset, and revert. Now let's say you made a mistake in card.js file after you have started doing the merging. So you can undo the last commit, but if you are unsure it was just a local change or if it already pushed to the remote, so what you could do is you can undo all the local edits with the git checkout. So you have to type just git checkout, and then you could type card.js, the respective file of the e-commerce project. Now what this command is going to do, guys, this is going to revert the file to the last committed stage, and you can undo the last commit with this also. So there's another command that we call it as git reset. So we checked it out on the documentation, guys. So this is kind of a soft reset. Let's say if you want to undo a commit but keep the changes staged, so you could type this respective thing, and you can also give this hyphen as soft. Now let's say if you have given something like this, and let's say you have this head, okay, and let's say all over here you could just do something like this. Let's say this is head 1, So what this is going to do is this is going to move the head back one commit, but it is going to keep your changes stage. So this is kind of a very, very much important step all over here. And if you want to undo a commit and changes with the git reset, which is kind of a hard reset, and if you want to completely undo it, you can try to do it. So these are some of the variations what we are trying to see right now. Now there is one more command that's called as git revert. Now let's say if you are undoing any public commit, so you can do it with git revert. Let's say if you have already pushed your changes and you need to undo it safely, I would suggest you using git revert. So just type git revert and you could type your given commit. Now this is going to create a new commit and that undoes the changes required. So this is kind of very much important. So I hope so guys, you would have got a brief idea regarding this. Now let us move to the rebasing part. Now guys, in this part, we are going to explore advanced Git techniques that will definitely help you to maintain a cleaner and a more efficient workflow. And these techniques include squashing of the temporary changes or commits, working with tags and releases. These are the most powerful features which are used in advanced workflows and will help you work more effectively in complex scenarios. Now, first, let us discuss what is rebasing and why we need to do it. So, first of all, guys, rebasing is an alternative to merging. It basically allows you to apply your commits on the top of another branch effectively and rewriting that commit history. Now, if you are using rebasing, you are getting a cleaner history, meaning you are avoiding extra commits, keeping the commit history linear and easier to read. Now, if you do rebase before merging, it's kind of a very common approach to practice your rebase feature branch on the top of the latest branch before you perform the merging. Now, if you do this given thing, this is going to ensure your changes are applied on the top of the recent changes, and you need to avoid any unnecessary merge commits. For example, guys, let's just see in this respective code. Let us say this is the master branch DEFG, and on the top of E as a branch, you're applying these respective A, B, and C. So these are the respective topics. Now, let us say you have done some commits all over here on this respective thing, and you want to transplant the commit that you made on the topics, and it has changed -b and C-. Now, if you are trying to do, let's say, git rebase and you try to change the topic, so these are the event of commits that you have performed all over here, and this is going to happen on the top of the master branch. So by running this command git rebase master, the topic branch is checked out, okay, and it is directly going to the main branch all over here. So that is kind of very much important. And if you get any conflict in this, then you need to resolve the merge conflict by manually intervening and also opening that respective file. You can use git def in that scenario to find these markers. So you're going to see these respective things which are causing the error. Now, this is kind of the respective thing all over here. Now, guys, let us look another scenario. Let's say you have one master branch, you have next branch, you have this topic branch, and these are the respective commits, but you have applied these commits under the next branch. So this is a sub branch of next branch. Now let us say I want to rebase this to the master branch or the main branch. So what you can do is you could just type this respective command git rebase -- onto, then you put the initial branch from where you want to rebase this. So let's say I want to rebase my topic to the master branch. So you can see next is our starting line of the branch all over here, and it is going to add the respective thing you have to type all over here. And finally, you need to add the branch where you are applying the rebase. So there is topic, so you have added topic. Now your final output will look something cleaner like this, not like sub branches. So that's why it's kind of very much important. Let us try to look at one more example. Let's say you have this as the main branch. Let's say this is topic A and this is topic B. E, F, G are the respective commits in topic A, H, I, J are the respective commits in topic B, and A, B, C, D is the master branch. Now, if you type git rebase onto master topic A, topic B, then all these respective h-i-g-, which is a new commits basically happening all over here. It is kind of rebased, so we are talking something like this. And now you can see both of them are originating from the main branch. So this is very much useful when the one branch is not dependent on another branch. And these are the range of the commits. It also could be removed by the respective rebase. Just type the command git rebase onto topic A 5 header, topic A 3 header, and so you can see E, then these will be removed, F, G, so H hyphen, I hyphen, and J, and you could see these two will be removed. So this is kind of very important. So where you are getting H prime, I prime, and J prime as a new commits all over here. So you can try to explore this respective thing. If you talk about git rebasing, like if you type hyphen hyphen continue git rebase continue, it is going to restart the rebasing process after you have finally resolved the merge conflict. And let's say if you want to skip anything, so you can restart the rebasing process by skipping the current patch. You can also do the abort process, so you can abort the rebate operation all over here, and you could reset the head to the original branch. And let's say if the branch which you have provided when the rebase operation was started, so you can reset to the head branch. You can also quit this, guys, so you can abort any rebase operation, but head is not reset back to the original. This is kind of very much important line if you just look back into it. So this is going to be very much helpful in trying to abort the respective process. Then you have hyphen hyphen edit and hyphen to. So this is going to edit a to-do list during an interactive rebase. And let's talk about, let's say if you're trying to show the current patch or in an interactive rebase. So this is going to be very much important. Git show rebase head. So most of the commands which you are seeing all over here are very useful in a merge conflict scenario. Now, guys, I'll also tell you one more important scenario, let's say, which is on the merge conflict only. Now, let's try to understand this. Let's say you're working on the same card discount feature in the feature hyphen card discount branch. So let us write that branch. And let's say we have this respective feature, and you can say this is card discount. Now, the main branch has received several updates since you started working. And to update your branch with the latest changes from the main without creating any merge commit, what you can do is you can rebase your branch on the top of the main branch. So that is the most important concept. What you could do is you can rebase the branch, okay, on the top of the main. So what is the command you need to type, guys? Command would be something like this: git checkout. Then you need to add your respective features. So write feature, and let's say this is a card discount, git fetch origin, and this is going to rewrite the history of your feature branch to apply your changes on the top of the latest changes in the. Now, guys, there's one very important question that we can discuss right now: when not to use rebasing. So this is very important concept, guys. So I would suggest you avoid rebasing shared branches because rebasing rewrites the history. So it should only be used on branches that are not shared with others. Rebasing a branch is very important because let's say if you're working on something which is causing conflicts and confusion, it is going to be kind of troublesome. So avoid in the shared scenario. Now, you could also do the git stash for temporary changes. Now, what does git stash actually? It actually allows you to temporarily save all the uncommitted changes, both staged and unstaged, and clean your working directory. This is very useful when you need to switch branches quickly but don't want to commit any incomplete changes. So just simply type stash, you could list all the changes. And let's say if you want to apply the last stashed changes, what you could do is you could type stash apply. So let me give you one scenario. Let's say you are switching task midway. You're working on the card feature, but you need to quickly switch to a bug fix in the main. So you can use git stash to temporarily save your card feature changes and work on the bug fix without committing. You can stage your work and type git stash all over here. And then you could switch to the main branch and fix the respective bug. So for example, you could just type after that git checkout main, and you fix the bug, and you then commit the respective thing. Let's say you type git commit name and type fixed issue with card bug. Now you can return to your feature branch and apply the respective thing. Now, why git stash matters, guys? Because you need to understand that temporary changes don't need to be committed. It keeps your working directory clean and it allows you to context switch without losing the repeat. Basically, guys, it keeps your working directory clean and allowing you to context switch without losing any progress. So squashing commits combines multiple commits into one single line of commit, which is very useful for cleaning up your commit history before merging a feature branch into the main branch. So this was a bit about git stash. Okay. Now guys, let me also tell you a bit about tags. Now this is also very much important concept all over here. So guys, tags are used to mark specific points in the history. Often when you are dealing with, let's say, versioning releases, for example, version 1.0, 2.0, so they make it kind of easy to reference important commits. Now, why you use tags? Because you need to mark release points. Tags are perfect for making production releases or milestone. Then there are reference versions also. You can easily check out specific version or go back to them when needed. What is a command to create a version? Let's say, for example, you are trying to give your first stable release. You need to type, let's say, git, then you give a tag, and then you give -a, and let's say you give your version name. Let's say this is version 1.0, and then you commit it with -m, and let's say this is your first stable release. So this is kind of very much important. And then after that, you could push the tag to the GitHub. So what you can do, guys, you can just type push and you could give origin. And here you could give 1.0. And let's say if you want to list all of the tags present, just type git tag. These are one of the most important commands which are related to tag. Very easy and simple. Just when you're working in that scenario, you could easily look up to this. Now I will give you some of the important scenario on tagging. Let's say you have finished working on the card feature and now you want the tag to current commit as version 1.0 before deploying. Now you create a tag with version 1.0 like I have written the code, and you could give it as the first stable release of the e-commerce card feature as your commit. Now you could push it to the GitHub's main branch, git push origin v 1.2, and that's a respective thing what you could do it, and this is very much important. So these were some of the advanced git techniques, like we had rebasing, stashing the commits, and using the tags, which helps you maintain a clean and efficient organized workflow, especially when you're collaborating in the larger projects. So that's kind of very much important. Now guys, let us discuss a bit about Git and GitHub when you're working in VS Code. So I already showed you this ID, and let's say if you're not having this ID, then I will suggest you go to the official site of VS Code all over here and just click on download, and here you can easily download the respective VS Code. Okay, for Windows, if you are a Windows user, .rpm for Debian distribution, and if you are Red Hat, Fedora, or SUSE, you could type .rpm features. And for Mac OS, you can find it all over here. So VS Code is available for all these three of the operating system. Now, actually, VS Code offers an excellent environment for developers when you are talking about managing Git repositories and interacting with GitHub using its built-in Git features and extensions. Then how to use the Git panel in VS Code. So you could see there is a one icon all over here that is source control. So this is the option, this is a panel. So what it does is integrates Git natively, meaning that you don't need to switch to a terminal to perform common Git operation. The Git panel in the VS Code provides a user-friendly interface to track and manage your code changes. And how to access the Git panel? You could just see this icon. This is the source control. Now, if you click all over here, then you could find that it is started searching and it is going to give you update the respective thing. And all over here, the commit changes, commit history based on the files that I have worked on. So that's kind of pretty much important, guys, and that's the thing which is happening. Now, when you see the Git panel option, it is going to also show you the uncommitted changes, files that have been modified but yet not committed. And you are also going to see some of the stage files also all over here, meaning the files which are ready to be committed, or you're going to find the commit message, a text box writing some of the commit messages. And all these important things, you're going to see it. So let's say if you are trying to look into it, so these are the respective actions. You could pull it, you could push, you could clone, you could check out to the branch which you're working, you could do the git fetch, you could commit, you could do the changes, you could perform push and pull, you could stash it up, you could do the tagging. Now all these concepts we have already discussed about it, and this is kind of very much important when you're working on any project. Let's try to do some hands-on in the VS Code. So I've already cloned one project, okay? And let's say in this respective, I want to switch it or create any branch out of it. So I could create a branch. So let's say, first, let me initialize this repository, git init. Now, let's say all over here, let's try to make our first commit. And let's say we will not do in this respective thing. Okay, let's use a terminal for a moment. So what I could do is, we have opened the same repository, okay, react app.demo. Okay. What I'll do is, I'll just open my terminal. Okay, so you can see I could push this respective thing, but I don't want that. I will just open the respective folder. So just right click all over here, and let's go to desktop and see, okay, the e-commerce app one. And let's say this is the respective React project that I'm having. And let's say I want to open my terminal. So file, and okay, you have to go to the view and then here terminal. Now let's say let's initialize this repository, which has already been initialized. So we won't do the git init process. Now guys, when you have trying to set up your given repository, you're going to see these respective commands. Now let's say I want to add all these respective files, so not just re.md. So for the same purpose, what I'm going to do is first type git init, and you could say it says it has reinitialized this repository. Then let's try to add git add dot to add all the respective file. Then what you could see all over here, then let's go to the respective command. So you could see it says let's make it as a main branch, but before that we need to commit our first commit. So let's try to do it, and you could change your commit name. Let's say if I'm trying to do something like second commit all over here, now just add enter, and you can see it has already been on the main branch, and add the checkout feature page. So that's why the commit is not happening. So nothing is commit, working tree is clean. So I think so no code is there in this. Okay, there are a couple of code present. Now what I can also do is I can populate some of the code into this, but let's try to also see the next thing what we are going to do. So next thing is, let's make it on the main branch, type enter. So it has made to the main branch. Now let's try to add a remote origin and push this to our given repo. Copy this thing, and you can see remote is added. Now let us try to push it. Okay, so some password authentication issue is happening. So authentication is failing. Let us try to go and see the respective name. Okay guys, so I am using another account for the same demonstration because I think there's some token issue is happening based on some security thing which I added. For the faster demoing, I'll just show you again this entire process. Let's go to the terminal and let's try to do it. We have initialized this repository. We could just type add dot. It's going to add the respective thing. Then type commit and hyphen, let's say third commit. Now, next step, what we need to do is initializing the respective thing. We need to make it as a main branch. Let's try to click enter. Now we are on the main branch, and let's say if you want to add all over here, let's try to add a remote origin. Okay, this is wrong, so we'll just delete it. Now this is correct. Just let's press enter. So you can see it says it already their remote origin exists for these file. I think so I have already uploaded this. That's why it's showing. Okay, no worries. So what we are going to do, we are going to create a new folder again. New folder, this call as Python REST API demo. And we'll copy some of the files from here to this respective folder. Let's say we have this respective code all over here, which I'm trying to use. Now, what we could do all over here, let me copy all these respective subfolders and let us go all over here in that folder. So this is Python REST API. I'll just paste this respective thing. Okay, so it's copying. Let's wait for a couple of time. Now guys, after this respective thing has opened, open it in the terminal and let's try to initialize the respective repository. So let's try to add Git in it. That's the first step. So you can say it has initialized the repository. Then they could try to add git add doc. It has tried to add it, the respective things. Now let us try to commit our first message. So git commit -m, and you can just type here first commit and click enter. So you can see your name and email address were configured automatically based on the respective mode all over here. So I have used it all over here in this respective thing. Now what I could do next is I could create the respective thing. So let's create a new repository again, because I think so the remote origin has existed with this respective repository. So I'll just click on new and create a new repository. And let's say this is a Python demo, and let us create this repository. Okay. Now let us try to make it as a main branch first. So, okay. Now, after this, what we need to do is we need to add the remote origin to our respective URL. So just type the respective thing all over here and press enter, and the remote origin have been created. Now, the final step would be pushing the respective file. So just click all over here and go to the respective file and enter. And you can see all the objects will be enumerated and it will be uploaded all over there. Now, since I need to sign in with my browser, so there's some authentication issue which is happening. But generally, after this, you can see it is going to happen. And that's a very, very important step for you need to be performing it. And you can see all over here, the branches after doing the respective authentication, these files have been pushed to my GitHub repo. And let us try to open the GitHub account. Now let's just refresh this, and you could see we have got the app.py file all over here. I hope so guys would have got a brief idea right now how to use Git and how to incorporate in your project. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like these kind of videos, then do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell icon so that you don't miss out any update from our end. And if you have any doubts, please post a comment on the comment box and our team of experts will get back to you.